Don't need no money. Don't need no... Fuck, I had the words ready earlier.
Fancy motor car?
Don't need no credit card to ride this
Jesus.
train. Fuck it, whatever. We're doing Back to the Future today. This is 10 Forward number 30.
Woohoo!
Damn.
I believe at the end of last week we said we'd be doing the Back to the Future trilogy. We slightly lied.
We left it vague.
Okay.
I think I remember being like, whatever we end up watching, we will cover this week.
Ames definitely did say that.
Well, I think it was because we weren't sure if we were doing this at all. We might have just been doing Voyager. We're not. Fuck you. Next week.
Voyager.
You know,
I
it's
also
fine.
like Voyager.
It's fine.
Next week's episode's a good one.
It is. I just like insulting the audience because I'm insane.
Wow.
But, yes, today we will be discussing the original 1985 Back to the Future. The famous tale of Martin McFly goes back in time
Esquire.
and almost prevents his own birth.
Oops.
So he has to play matchmaker for his parents with the help of Christopher Lloyd's Doc Brown.
Einstein. The dog.
Well, technically it's Copernicus in
Brown.
1955.
That's right.
Damn.
Different dog. Dogs don't live
dog,
30
different
years.
That's the thing, they do have it as a puppy, so you feel like, oh, it's little Einstein. It's like, no it isn't.
That will be a very dead
unless,
dog.
Unless
Brown just likes that breed.
Maybe he created a prototype time machine sometime in like the late 50s, early 60s and put Copernicus in it, and then he just vanished, and then the dog just showed up one day in like 82, and he's like, oh, I guess it did work.
Like
Maybe
Admiral Archer's Beagle.
I'll finish this project. I bought this piece of shit DeLorean. I might as well do something with it.
We do this almost whenever we do a 10 Forward episode, and that's that we just launch in and forget to introduce ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Some people might be listening because they love Back to the Future and have never seen Star Trek a day in their lives, but we're usually a Star Trek podcast.
That's true.
So you might not know who we are.
Yes, I'm Chris.
I'm Sock Hop Ames.
Sock Hop Ames?
It's 50s.
I'm
Poodle skirt.
Jitterbug Caitlin?
That might be going back a little far.
And I'm Crispin Weirdo Glover!
He is an odd boy.
He is so great in this
Oh,
film.
he is.
He's my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen 3 movies he's in, and he is always the right choice whether or not the movie is good.
And I'm sorry, who is Chris? Who?
George McFly.
George.
Oh, I love him.
Daddy McFly.
I love Daddy McFly.
It's such a weird thing because the way he plays it, I feel like any other actor doing that, I'd be like, that actor either sucks or they're just over egging the pudding, like Governor. But this fucking guy somehow pulls off that bizarre, overacted.
Well, he's just being himself.
I think that's just him.
Oh, I know.
Like Zemeckis has said, I couldn't, I was trying to get him to do something else, and he can't do it.
I remember there was some story, it might have been Zemeckis or somebody, an interview I read where they were talking about Crispin Glover, and there's a scene, I don't know if it's even in the movie, but there was a scene where he had a broom, and apparently he was taking these wide, comical broom sweeps.
Yeah.
And the director or somebody was like, "Can you just sweep the floor like normal?" And he he wouldn't do it. He insisted on doing this this interpretive.
But it's
sweeping method.
It all just works for George. I can't imagine George being played any other way.
Yeah, no. It's I honestly think I struggle to think of a performance in this movie that was not good. I don't know. I feel like it was very well cast.
Yeah.
And
imagine though, we almost didn't have Michael J. Fox.
That's true.
Who was the first?
Well, so interestingly,
choice?
They wanted Michael J. Fox first.
Yeah,
he was too busy on Family Time.
Well, I think the
Plus, I guess
studio also was a little not sure, but I don't remember. I might be misremembering.
I don't remember that. I remember Zemeckis specifically wanting Fox, but I guess the whoever played the mother on Family Ties, the name is gone, was pregnant, so she was getting like less and less to do, and Michael J. Fox was getting way more to do on Family Ties. It was like we cannot lose any minute of his fucking time.
Yep.
Because we need him in all these scenes.
Well,
He is the show.
Yeah, but it's so, famously they went to their second choice, which was Eric Stoltz.
Which is who?
Well, I mean, he's still a pretty big actor.
I only know him from Caprica.
Yeah, he's in Caprica,
which
which
isn't even that great a show.
No. He's most famous, I think, for the film Mask.
I don't know Mask. What's Mask?
It's a film about a guy that has a
mask,
a deformity.
Oh, like
an
elephant,
like the Elephant Man, yeah.
Oh, and it's like half his face is fucked or something. And so
his whole head is.
Oh, it's his whole
sort
face.
of. Yeah.
So it's a Phantom of the Opera ripoff?
No, it's based on a real guy.
What a strange reason to cast this man in this movie, then, because that's a different kind of thing, it sounds like.
Well, I don't know if he was even... I don't know if Mask was before or after this. Oh,
they cast him... They went to him specifically because of his role in Mask.
But he's not, like, a comic actor.
No, that's what he has specifically said. Why was I cast?
He was... I'm trying to think of some other things. He's done a lot of, like, bit parts and things.
I think probably one of his more famous bit parts is he's the guy they bring Uma Thurman to in Pulp Fiction when she's overdosed.
He's the one that stabs.
Oh, sure.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, he's a weird
stab her 3
guy.
times?
But, they ultimately, it wasn't working. They went to the Family Ties people like, can we make something work? And the making something work was basically Michael J. Fox just didn't sleep for 3 months or something, as he did both.
Yeah.
At full tilt.
It was probably the right choice, though. You gotta feel like Back to the Future money was probably better than television money.
Oh, yeah.
Well, keep in mind, this wasn't Back to the Future yet. It was some movie people were working on. I think, actually, that's the thing, is it was relatively, for what it is, low budget.
Yeah, really low budget.
But they got green screen, or not green screened, greenlit for 2...
Well, yes, after this.
That's the success of this.
Yeah, this was like going into the first Star Wars. No one knew what it was going to be.
Well, regardless, it still was the right choice, even if you didn't know it at the time. You know what I mean?
I mean, a movie in general is a thing you want, but there was no guarantee it was going to pay off.
Yeah, and I got to give credit to the writers to have set up the sequel in the last scene, right? Like,
I feel like it's just a generic end scene.
Well, no, but it leaves the door open, and it means that if you do a sequel, you can just open it with that scene. You don't even need to refilm everything. All the actors are there. You just cut that bit out of the end of 1 and put it at the beginning of 2.
I can't tell if this is a joke.
I was gonna say it's not fair because we're not talking about 2 today.
No, I'm just saying if you were. I'm not saying there even is a 2. I'm just saying if you were to do it,
You're
that's
right.
what you
There
could do.
famously is not a second or third film in this trilogy. It's a trilogy of nothing, actually.
But of course, that was actually originally just supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
And then the studio came back and they're like, "Hey, do you actually want to do more?" And they went, "What? We wouldn't have started writing a sequel that... Fuck!" But we're not on the sequel, we're on the original.
I know, when Jake and I were watching it, because we had planned to do the trilogy today.
But there's a lot of movie there, man. It's a lot of movie.
And then we watched this movie, and Jake tells me, I feel like we're going to shortchange this movie, because I know Jake loves this movie.
Oh, it's the best.
If we try to cram 3 movies into one discussion. What else do you have to say about that, Jake?
I mean, I kind of feel like... Okay,
Okay.
This movie, in my opinion, completely stands on its own.
Oh, yeah.
It does not... And if anything, even though I don't hate... I know a lot of people... There's a lot of hate out there for Back to the Future 2. I'm not a Back to the Future 2 hater. Admittedly, it's been a while since I've seen it.
I thought everyone loved 2 and hated 3.
I thought the same.
But
I
also love 3. I actually think all 3 movies in this series are very good.
They are.
Except for 2.
But I think that this movie... I think this movie's exceptional. It's one of the... possibly, in terms of like movies that are perfect in the sense like I wouldn't change anything about them. There's probably 1 or 2 things I'd change about this movie. Rape.
Attempted rape.
Yeah.
The tone that switches from oh god attempted rape to oh let's have a super super fun sing along. What?
Well. Also
what?
Also the ending of George being like, "Oh, Biff." It's like that's the guy who tried to rape your wife.
Tried to wape him? Tried to wape her.
Yeah, no, that's the tone. That's the tone of this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway,
make sure to add a little warning at the beginning. Yeah.
It's Back to the Future. Right? We've got to know to expect it, right? Because it does.
You don't though. You don't, because it's a cute comedy movie for kids.
What are you saying? Because they're listening to a Back to the Future podcast that they're fucking dressed like they want it, Jake? Because you sound like Biff, actually.
Oh, jeez. But anywho, yeah. So I think this movie stands on its own. Yeah. And further, if we dedicated a whole fucking episode of our show to Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Groans,
fair,
then frankly, we owe it to Back to the Future to spend an hour on it.
Yeah. I should say up front, like for all three of these, as we do them over time, no objectivity whatsoever here from me. These were like my favorite movies as a child. I still love them immensely. So there is no way for me probably to separate my years and years of adoration for these films from reality.
Oh, see, I can, because I didn't see these movies as a kid.
Same.
Like this, I'm in Gremlins territory here, where it's like, wow, am I now too old to have first seen this movie from the beginning? Because I think I've seen the end of this movie, the very end, 5,000 times.
Maybe you just saw the very beginning of 2. I said maybe you just saw the very beginning of 2 5,000 times.
Because when you're channel surfing on TV and it's in the middle of the movie and you start watching.
Yep.
You get the end of the movie and then what's ever on next, which is why I've seen only the end of 2 a couple of times, but all of 3 a lot, just quite a lot.
Yeah.
But that means that I can be very objective in saying there's a lot that's super goofy. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why people like the Doc so much.
He's the Doc.
He's insane.
Yeah.
He tries to kill his dog.
Doesn't try to. He just puts his dog in harm's way.
He is the most negligent man.
Oh, yeah.
There's a great John Mulaney bit where he covers this. Like, the guys that had to pitch Back to the Future. And it hits on a lot of that. Just how, because that is one of the things that they do talk about. He talks about. And that things that is weird. And one of the things that, oh boy, thank God they didn't put it in the final version. How the fuck is Marty McFly friends with this crazy old scientist?
Yeah. Why? He doesn't seem to have. I mean, he has that girlfriend, but he doesn't seem to interact with anyone else.
He's in a band.
He's got a band. Presumably, he's friends with his bandmates. He's got his girlfriend.
I don't know. I know a lot of bands where there's just one person in the band everyone actually hates.
Yeah,
and it's true that he's apparently a masterful guitarist and singer. That maybe the band just puts up with his weird, creepy doctor friend.
Huey Lewis didn't like him.
Yeah, I think the less you ask questions about why Doc and Marty are friends, the better.
See, when I was a kid, because again, I watched these all the time, it didn't strike me as weird, because you're a kid.
Did you have a lot of old man friends?
No, but I remember legit, back when we did, science fairs in elementary school or middle school or whatever, people be like, hey, maybe try to reach out to people who actually work in the field you're going to do your science fair project about. And so in my head, that's what had happened. Marty, got help on a science fair project from Doc, and they became friends. When, in retrospect, that would still be fucking weird. The worst version is what was in the early version of the script.
Oh, no.
Yes. Marty did, shit around Doc's house for him, cleaned up for him, picked up his groceries,
Wiped his ass.
Huh?
Tugged his dick.
Well, here's the thing.
No.
Here's the problem with that.
He's not Biff.
In the script, it specified he paid Marty in beer.
So no.
You had Doc paying a 17-year-old in beer for chores. Again, thank God that didn't make it into the final script. Because that is fucking horrifying.
It's pretty groomalicious.
Yeah, the Doc gave me some beers and then I got sleepy.
But yeah, it's one of those things when you're a kid, at least, I didn't really think about. Because, in a lot of weird cartoons and shit, especially in the 80s, there was, the kid who was the hero, but there were always adults around, too, to bail them out when they inevitably almost died. So I was like, yeah, of course, this is normal, because the 80s were a strange decade.
Like what?
Now, of course.
You say it's so common. It sounds
Start
like
the next generation.
Well,
5 at your hands.
Inspector Gadget. I mean, technically it's his niece, but still.
Yeah, they're related. Of course they would hang out.
But I just feel like there were a lot of Saturday morning adventure cartoons where it was a mixed team of kids and adults, Silverhawks, other things.
April O'Neil befriends a bunch of teenage
she's
turtles.
At least right. She's the adult in that one, I guess.
Yeah,
true.
Splinter, though, for that matter.
Yeah.
He's like an old, wise
Well, he's
rat
there-
who
he's
just
there-
wants to fuck turtles.
Yeah, he's teaching them about ninjutsu.
Oh, what have I done? Anyway, yeah, it is weird in retrospect, but at the time it just does, sure, why not?
Yeah, I think you're right, though. I can't think of specific examples, but there's a lot of kids' movies and TV shows that kind of are based around that premise.
Or at the very least, there's a bunch of kids with no adult supervision who answer to an older person who isn't a relation.
I mean, Batman and Robin, right?
What?
Bring it back to Batman.
Why would we bring it back to Batman? It's
Well,
not
Ca-
a
Ca-
bitch.
that definitely
Captain
brings it back
Planet. It's a bunch of teenagers working for some vaguely defined god.
Mm,
Yeah, but that's just their religion.
yeah, that's true.
Not a bad
Yeah, well, I mean, have
religion,
you...
actually.
So I'm not a fan of the show, but I do know that the initial, short that led to Rick and Morty was a Doc and Marty.
Yep.
And it was like
Was it a little satire piece or what?
it was a very crude joke.
Of course it was. It's a very
I
crude
want to
show.
say I've seen it, and I can't remember the full
Crudely
setup, but the
drawn,
idea
too.
was that the Doc needed Marty to lick his balls to solve the problem,
to send him back to the future.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, something like that.
Dude, that show is so gross.
It's so bad. I know a lot of people like it, but I'm not a fan.
I straight up cannot watch it. Like, I hear that
it's-
it gets better in later seasons, but all the fucking green shit that flies out of Rick's mouth, I'm just like, I fucking
the
can't.
belching.
It's
I
just
can't get past
gross.
the belching and drooling.
Their
It's
mouths
gross.
are always wet.
Yeah, it's gross.
So
I
at
can't.
least the Doc doesn't do that.
Good, that's good. Good Doc. He's still a madman.
Oh yeah, no, he is actually a mad scientist. That's the thing. It's
Yeah, and the thing is,
That's like his whole shtick. Sorry.
it's a comedy film, right?
Yeah.
It's it's okay that he's a mad scientist and very irresponsible.
wildly.
It's the Ghostbusters, right? It's even a joke in that film about how they're walking around with
Unlicensed nuclear reactors on their backs.
yeah. So
Yeah, but I trust most of that.
and remember the villain
Fair.
in Ghostbusters was the fucking EPA,
which is so weird in
which
retrospect.
is very weird in retrospect. So yeah, so the 80s were an interesting time.
Well,
Reagan, right?
I've often said the thing with the 80s, and this doesn't apply as much here, maybe a little, but is the 80s is this really bizarre time where suddenly you could be more blunt in your adult humor,
oh yeah,
but
Porkies.
yeah, you could be more adult in your humor, but common decency hadn't kicked in as far as what's actually it was this time where you could still be wildly inappropriate about women and minorities,
Yeah, I feel
and
like
everyone was
every-
supposed to just laugh.
Every movie had a rape joke. Fucking
Yeah.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, that's not even a rape
has a
joke.
straight up rape in it.
Exactly. I was
and it's
gonna
a
say,
joke.
It's not even a joke. He's like a hero at that point. She's like, oh, I never had any idea that sex would be so good with a nerd.
I've never seen it, but holy shit, that's terrifying.
He puts on it's what is it called? It's rape through omission or something where or through
Deception
because he puts on the boyfriend's football helmet or jersey or both, and they have sex, and then he reveals himself, and it's disgusting.
Jesus Christ!
Yep.
But it's not meant to be horrifying. It's meant to be, they were meant to be together all along.
Oh, and there's even
So gross.
nowhere near as horrific as that, but still wildly inappropriate. In Goonies, there's a scene where one of the older girls thinks that she's making out with Josh Brolin, but it's
Oh,
actually
yeah. Corey Feldman.
no, Sam.
Oh.
What's his real name?
Sean Ashton.
Thank you.
Mm.
And again, it's just supposed to be kind of all right, he got to make out with this chick, and it's just an older woman just assaulted him.
Yeah, well, it's all it's all male fantasy shit.
Yeah, and it's before people were this is weird and inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read for Back to the Future, Zemeckis pitched this movie 44 fucking times before anyone picked it up because it wasn't considered raunchy enough. Like your Animal House or your Porky's or your Fast Times at Ridgemount High. Meanwhile, Disney said no because the incest scene is weird. And they were like, that's not our brand, guys. If you want to make out with your mom, not into that.
What I find funny about that is it's no one's into it. The mother doesn't know she's the mother. Marty is horrified the entire time, and as soon as she kisses him, the universe goes, no, in her ear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good universe.
But
Well done.
honestly, that's fine by me. Because Jesus Christ, thank God. That would mean fucking Disney would own Back to the Future as well. And they own enough, thank you.
They'd make a great ride out of it.
Well, there was a
Yeah,
ride.
I've been on the ride.
I've never been on the ride. It's a large regret.
For the longest time, my most exposure to Back to the Future was having been on the ride, and I want to say this was when I was in California for vacation or some shit, and the ride was good. It was a good ride.
Except the ride made no fucking sense because
That's okay. It's
the
a
whole
ride.
premise of the ride is that Doc is like a successful scientist who's in charge of
a competent man. You
like
say?
an institution, and it's like,
I mean,
oh, you're a test pilot for the new time machine at Doc's
Look,
time travel institute.
rides aren't canon, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think there's a Defunct Land on it that maybe I'll share on the
fun.
Facebook. Defunct Land is excellent. Everyone watch Defunct Land.
Yeah, I've watched a few of them. I need to watch more.
Very good.
But yeah, no, the ride. I did the ride in Florida when I was a kid. It was very fun.
I think I did too, and I had never seen the movies, so I think it was probably
a
less.
little lost on you.
Yeah.
So,
Too bad.
so not that we said before, there doesn't have to be an explicit Star Trek connection for us to do something that's 10 forward.
Time travel.
This
But
features
constantly.
but this also features Darth Vader, who we all know
Yes,
is
yes,
from
from
the planet Vulcan.
No, again, I'm saying well,
Star Trek.
there doesn't
character.
have to
That was
be,
good.
but obviously, Christopher Lloyd, Commander Krug. But when I was looking into this, I found out something that somehow in all these years of loving both Star Trek and Back to the Future, I had never caught on. Behind the scenes, Andrew Probert helped design the look for the DeLorean in this.
Okay.
More importantly to Star Trek, he helped design the refit Enterprise for the motion picture.
The DeLorean was already a car.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but the like,
I was thinking that too.
the guts and the stuff they tacked on.
Okay, that makes sense.
So he helped design all that stuff, like turning it into the time machine. But again, he worked on the refit Enterprise. He worked on a lot of, I guess, the set work and like the look for the Vulcans in the motion picture. He was brought on to design the bridge for TNG, but then they said they saw like a doodle he did and said, actually, could you design the ship too? And he worked on tons of the first season. He designed the Romulan Warbird. Like, a lot of what Star Trek looks like is thanks to him.
That's cool.
And he designed, and he worked on Mask and Tron and Batteries Not Included.
Oh, word.
Which one's that again? Batteries not included?
Some of the little alien ships that come from space and help a struggling apartment building.
Are they the ones that have little baby
Yep.
flying robots?
Yeah.
I love them.
I haven't seen that in
I haven't
years.
seen it.
So cute.
And I've seen that movie, within the last 5 years, and that movie I absolutely adored as a kid. And I was so afraid to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it's not going to hold up. It's going to be silly and goofy. I contend that movie holds up.
Nice.
Well, even watching it as an adult.
I don't
think it's
remember
good.
it well because it's been a long time, but it has a strong anti-gentrification message,
Oh, yeah.
which I am all for. Now, is Spielberg direct that, or is it just another like produced kind of thing?
I think it was a produced.
Okay,
I'm
like
not
this.
positive, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a thing in the 80s and well into the 90s too, where you would have a movie that you would attach a famous director to, usually Steven Spielberg, sometimes fucking Beetlejuice,
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. You would attach them and you would
Yeah.
put their name on the poster, and then the actual, like, everyone thinks that Tim Burton directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. He fucking didn't. Look it up, people!
Was it Danny Elfman?
No, he was the
he did the music.
I found out the hard way it wasn't him when I went and saw Monkey Bone. Because they were like, from the director of Nightmare Before Christmas. But they didn't say his name. Because they knew everyone would think Tim Burton.
Monkey Bone looked terrible.
It was fucking awful from what I recall. I was probably 12, never saw it again. If a 12-year-old me thought something was bad, it was definitely bad.
Is that a Brendan Fraser movie?
It might have been.
That's why you really went to see it.
No,
I don't blame you then.
I honestly, this might have been before The Mummy, so
never
it
mind.
really might have mostly been on the strength of me thinking it was a Tim Burton film.
Speaking of Brendan Fraser, another movie that actually we watched recently that holds up.
The Mummy.
The Mummy?
Blast from the Past.
I've never seen that
Don't
one.
lie, it doesn't hold up.
You thought, okay.
I think that movie's phenomenal.
I've
much
actually
fun.
never
It's
seen
got
it,
some
so I'm
very
just
weird
being-
things, like Dave Foley's character is like really bad pink face in that film.
What is pink face?
It's where like a straight actor, I don't know if they have to be a straight actor. I think a gay actor could do it too, but it's basically where an actor is portraying an over-the-top
Gay
stereotype.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, but Dave Foley does it
But
so
Dave
well.
Foley does a great job.
Is pink
It's
face
just
really a term?
it was. It's basic. It's the
hopefully-
gay equivalent of blackface.
You
basically.
hopefully see it less today.
Yeah, you do see it less today, but yeah.
Wow, I just learned something.
Back to the Future is what was the movie you just named? Blast from the Past is a very convenient movie.
Oh yeah,
everything in it is
it's
convenient.
very enjoyable. It's very 90s. It's
all right.
It's
Brendan Fraser
watch.
is adorable.
He is.
I'll give you that.
Chris Walken, it's great.
Oh, getting back to Spielberg.
Back to the Future. Oh, Spielberg.
Hey, there we go. Because I guess Zemeckis and Gale were having so much trouble getting this thing greenlit by anybody. Finally, they bring it to Spielberg and say, what advice can you give us? And he helps them out doing some things and all this stuff. And they finally get the contract, and Sidney Sheinberg, the chief executive, was adamant that no one's gonna like a movie with future in the name. That's a bad idea. You know what you should name it to? I don't know if you know this. Do you know this one?
Oh,
Right?
I feel like
The bus that couldn't slow down.
Close.
I know I've heard it, and it's awful, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay, here it is. Spaceman from Pluto.
Yep, that's
What
right.
the
Yep.
fuck? What?
And Spielberg steps in because, Zemeckis and Gale are like, can we tell him no? That's a terrible idea. I don't know if we can tell him no. And Spielberg steps in and says, I got this, guys. And he writes a memo, and here's the memo that he sends to Sheinberg.
Oh, yes.
Just as a way to shut him up and make him look like the fool. Hi, Sid. Thanks for your most humorous memo. We all got a big laugh out of it. Keep them coming.
Nice. Good job, Spielberg.
Because he totally could have just walked in and said, I am Steven Spielberg at the height of my powers. I could kill you and get away with it.
He has.
But instead...
Killed that guy specifically.
I was going to say,
He's back.
wow.
He got better.
A newt.
But instead, doing it that way is just so beautiful. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, it is, I can, again, having read about earlier versions and even stuff that was filmed and cut, like, there were some bad ideas.
What else are you thinking of?
So there was a whole cut thing where, you notice in one of the scenes where Marty's talking to George, he's carrying a punching bag.
I thought it was a bag full of laundry.
No, it's a punching bag. That thing, I thought that for years too, but it's a punching bag. Because there's a longer version of the scene where he sets it up and is trying to teach George how to punch.
Oh, so he can do a punch later?
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
right. They cut that because Fox is too short to punch somebody.
Well, not just that,
I'm not
but
lying.
well, no, yes,
He's
but
shorter than me.
there was gonna be
so-
this whole thing where Marty walks away. He's like, "Well, you'll figure it out." And George then, when no one's there, takes a swing with his left hand, and it's good.
Oh.
And the implication was supposed to be that George was, because they would do this back in the day, was a lefty who was forced to work with his right hand because that's just how they did in the past, because the past was dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, and that would tie into the end when he punches Biff with his left hand.
Yeah. There was this whole cut subplot where it's like, oh, he's secretly a lefty. But I just kind of prefer that it's, no, he's just overcome with, this guy is a monster and I need to step up.
Yeah.
Like, that's more emotionally satisfying.
Well, it's also just an unnecessary thing to add to George's character. He's got enough going on.
Yeah.
I like to think
Lefties
that...
are oppressed enough as it is.
I just like to think that
Well, they were in the
they
50s,
got,
for sure.
they hired Crispin Glover, they saw him work, and they're like, you know what? We don't need to do anything extra.
Nope.
He's just a fucking weirdo, and that's all.
Yep. The early versions, of course, had it, the time machine was in a fridge.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, I remember hearing
It was in a refrigerator, and they had to, rather than get the car up to 88 and get struck by lightning, they had to drive it into a nuclear bomb test.
Well, as we know, refrigerators are lead lined.
They are.
And safe to be in during a nuclear bomb blast.
Just ask
Yes.
Indiana Jones. So did they nix that because of all the children who were getting stuck inside of
Supposedly that's part of the reason, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I like to
'cause that's
think-
fucked.
But also, it's just cooler to have it in a car. It can get places on its own.
Well, yeah, for sure.
I'd like to think that when they were making this movie, like, Steven Spielberg was, like, taking notes, and he wrote that down on a piece of paper, and, like, somehow George Lucas, like, snuck into Steven's office and was like, refrigerator, nuclear bomb? We're doing it!
Monkeys ex machina?
And for
Yes!
some reason, Spielberg had no nards to say no, George.
Look, here's the thing. Maybe a controversial statement.
From Chris? About Lucas?
80s, 90s Spielberg, height of his powers, sure. Last 20 years, Spielberg, a little more hit and miss. He might have thought the fridge thing was a great idea without George whispering in his ear.
I don't know. I feel like the powers combined.
Yeah, they kind of...
Well, because
I feel
nobody
like
can tell either of them no.
They sort of maybe enable each other's dumber instincts.
Right.
It's kind of like the Beatles, but opposite.
But does the having to go into a nuclear explosion to go back in time and do the thing and go fix your time thing work if you add the secret ingredient, Coca-Cola?
I forgot about that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then Pepsi became the sponsor of the movie.
Did they?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's so
much.
These movies have a ton of Pepsi product placement
You're
throughout
right.
them.
That's hysterical.
But yeah, I forgot that Coke was like the secret ingredient to time
Yeah.
travel or something. Literally,
I mean, it makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You noticed when Marty goes to the diner, at first he tries to order a tab, which is a Coke product.
True,
I'm pretty
true.
sure. But then he orders a Pepsi free.
Yeah.
I can't give you a tab if you don't order nothing.
And I think there's a Pepsi.
There's a Pepsi sign at some
sign
point
earlier in the film too. I think
there's also famously they had to return some product placement money because they got money from the California Raisin Company.
Oh yeah, because that was
delicious.
on that bench.
But the only appearance was on the bench the bum was asleep on at the end, and they were like, "Fucking what?"
But now I really want some raisins. Actually, one thing I will say I really appreciated in the movie was all like the billboards and the signage and stuff that changes between eras, and that's all really cool. And I didn't even realize this until I read it in a note on Wikipedia or IMDb or someplace that the fucking mall name changes from Twin Pines to Lone Pine, and that's the cleverest thing I've ever heard.
That's why when I wanted to make sure you noticed that.
I didn't. I only read about it later.
Which is why when you're like, what was that man? Because at the beginning, when Marty drives away, he drives over the tree, kills the tree. And the man yells, and you were like, what did that man say? He said, he said, my pines. You killed my pine. And I wanted to make sure because he ran over one of the twin pines.
It's funny he never replaced it.
Well, maybe because they were like magic pines. I don't know.
Well, and he was too busy trying to breed palm trees, as Doc said.
Well, that and like it would take 100 years probably to get another pine tree that big and beautiful or whatever.
That was a little one. That was like a Christmas tree size one.
Well, I don't know.
When I asked what he said, did you say my pines?
Yes.
I don't remember.
I said you
any
killed
of
my pine.
The most incomprehensible line in the entire film is that old woman screeching at the guy that Marty tries to flag down.
I never know what she says.
I had to, for one day, turn on fucking subtitles. She's just saying, "Don't stop, Harold, drive."
Okay, I thought it was something like that. But
when is this in the movie?
Right after he gets to 1955. And he gets out of the DeLorean, he's like behind the billboard, and he flags down this car with these two old people in it.
Oh, okay.
And he, it's like Jiminy Christmas.
Speaking of that scene happens because the car breaks down, and so another trivia is that the DeLorean, the car, famously was a commercial failure.
Oh, huge!
Because it was a terrible car,
piece of junk.
Oh no.
And this movie makes fun of that fact repeatedly because the car is so unreliable. It's like the worst car you would want in this situation because it breaks down constantly throughout the movie. But nevertheless, I don't know how true this is, but supposedly John DeLorean, the owner of DeLorean Motor Company and famously
Coke dealer,
Coke smuggler, yeah.
Wow.
Well, as his company was failing, it was how he was going to try to save it. He was going to smuggle Coke to save the DeLorean Motor Company.
It might have worked, except he got caught and went to jail. But also famously the designer of the Pontiac GTO.
That's right.
A much more successful vehicle.
Much.
But anyway, he supposedly wrote a letter to Zemeckis or somebody on the staff thanking them for choosing the DeLorean because he was...
Yeah, now the car's famous
Now
forever.
it's immortalized. And the thing is, today, 30 some odd years later, people are still buying secondhand DeLoreans and fixing them up.
To look like time machines?
Sometimes,
but I think
all the time.
Even for me as a kid,
there's no other reason.
The DeLorean, there were two cars that I wanted to own as an adult. I'm going to own a DeLorean, and I'm going to own a fucking Cadillac hearse. And
From
is that Ghostbusters?
Ecto One.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it was technically an ambulance in the but same.
So you say hearse, and I only think 6
Well, that's the thing. Old ass ambulances weren't meant to be you weren't meant to be doing triage in them while you were on your way. It was just to put the person in.
But I think in the film, when Dan Aykroyd's character brings it back, it's painted like a hearse. It's black.
True, but it does have a siren, which is hearse wooden. So.
Which is interesting to me. But anyway.
But same thing. I wanted a DeLorean. I wanted an Ecto One.
Oh yeah,
I wanted the 1960s Batmobile.
Fair.
That's a pretty good one too. Yeah, I mean, but in the canon of famous cars, the DeLorean,
Oh, yeah.
despite being a commercial failure and a generally regarded as a bad car, got its second life because of this movie.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, it is only not just a footnote like the Edsel, only of interest to auto historians because of this movie.
And, like, despite the fact that it was a piece of junk, it's a damn
it
pretty
looks good.
car. It looks great.
I actually, you know, I didn't have a chance to rewatch any of the special features before this, but I remember watching them incessantly when I was younger. For the movie, they actually, like, ripped out the engine and put in a Volvo engine.
Smart.
Because they were like, it couldn't get up to 88.
Oh, no.
We need this
I've
fucking
also
car
heard
to
that-
run.
I've heard that the speedometer didn't even, in the stock DeLorean, like, only went up to, like, 75 or something. Like, it didn't... Well,
So
no one's
going
gonna get it to this.
My first car was a Crown Victoria, and the speedometer only went up to 80. So I just think in those days, cars weren't expected to go faster than that.
Well, that's the other thing. I've heard that, like, the European model had the American model was limited by certain regulations that the European models weren't. The European models still weren't good, but they were slightly better. The door was awful. Again, looked great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like they open vertically, looks like a bird.
The gullwing doors, but
like
they
it seems because it's so unique. You don't see car other than like really specialized sports car kind of things. You don't see that.
There's a Tesla. I think
Well, there was the first big one. There was like I want to say a 60s Mercedes. That was one of the first sort of widely available, if you had the money, cars that had that. But
like they look like an amusement park ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were.
Well, it's like, it's very gimmicky. It looks cool, but functionally probably not great.
Well, the advantage of it, in theory, of a gullwing door is that it takes up, it has less of an opening arc. So you can be like closer to things and still open the door.
You can be in a tight parking spot.
But then you still have to get out, so.
Yeah.
But
I love how, like, even in the movie you see them, they had to add
a strap
so that you could actually reach it from the being seated.
Possibly just more because Michael J. Fox kind of short, though.
Possibly.
But yeah, there's a lot of bloopers of the door doing things it shouldn't in both. Like, there's plenty of scenes of the door hitting poor Michael J. Fox in the head because it just starts to close.
No.
But there's also one where he's like, you know, they got the camera and he's pretending to drive as a fake background goes. And he's sitting there and the door just pops open. And, you know, it's gone hydraulic, so it just keeps opening. Like, imagine if that happened on the road.
Jesus.
A very pretty car that was a mechanical disaster. And they actually recently, somebody owns the rights to the name DeLorean Motor Company and is now releasing, or planning on releasing, we'll see if it actually happens, an all-electric new DeLorean. It doesn't look a thing like the old one, except that it has gullwing doors.
Yeah,
why
would
if you're gonna do that, you should be making replica DeLorean bodies and putting an electric drive chain.
Yeah.
Nobody wants some car that's called the DeLorean.
Yeah, no, it's like we're not into the name and any gullwing door.
I mean, somebody might be, but
Enough people might be.
Maybe
Enough to make it worthwhile.
I don't know about that.
We'll see. TBD.
Yeah.
I've ordered 5.
I mean, it'd be one thing if DeLorean, so Ford released an all-electric Mustang that's basically a little like a kind of like a station wagon or like a hatchback. It doesn't look like a Mustang.
Mustangs.
But, and like a lot of people are like, why did they call it the Mustang if it's not a fucking sports car? And it's like, well,
to sell it.
I was like, yeah, because the Mustang is a very recognizable brand, and Ford's just banking on that to sell cars, and they probably made the right choice because I hear that's a very popular model. But DeLorean, people aren't looking for the DeLorean name. They're looking for the fucking car from Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Moving on. One thing I think, oh boy, doesn't hold up is the old age makeup. Well, not even the older age makeup on the McFlys.
On any of them?
Ugh.
Literally anyone ever?
I mean, really, it's only Biff, Mama, and Papa. Lorraine
no,
and
they
George.
do it to Doc, too.
Doc.
Oh, well,
they
he
give
looks
him
the
a
same no
gross-
matter
That's the thing.
what.
They put a gross neck on him.
I love, there's a great joke that we'll talk about when we talk about 2, where he has the facial mask that he has to take off.
The thing is, his is better because it's subtler. Like, because if you do look, they do add, like, some pretty convincing, like, extra lines around his eyes and stuff. It's just that I think because the gap between younger Doc and older Doc is less drastic. Because the difference between, like, you know, 45 and...
47. Because it's 30 years.
Oh, he's supposed to be 47?
Oh, I thought you meant Mama.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry, I meant him. Like, that's again thinking the John Mulaney bits, like, he's friends with this old, he's 40 or 80, even we don't know.
He's literally the same age.
Going from, like, old guy to older guy isn't as drastic as going from 17 to 45.
47.
So, like, 47, so, like, his changes can be subtler and still work. Although, yes, the neck is very obviously bad.
Yeah, and also,
how old was Christopher Lloyd when the film came out?
I didn't look.
30s?
Oh, I looked it up the other day. I have 40s, I want to say.
Michael J. Fox was 23.
No, he's a baby.
He's a sweetie. But I also thought, like, bless her, Lorraine. Oh, honey, just her acting in the first 1985 scene. I'm like, honey, what do you think a 40-something-year-old woman sounds like?
Well, keep in mind that she knew old people who were old in, like, the 60s and 70s and 80s. So.
But also, she's clearly spent most of the last 30 years smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
Like, she has destroyed herself.
And not
Yeah, she's supposed to be a very, like...
Because she's
character.
She's definitely less like croaky and awful sounding in the end scene where her life has been better.
Yeah,
and I just found healthy and doing the tennis.
I found it way too caricature. Again, George just being Crispin Glover in any scene, and it's fine. But her, it's like what the acting just really took me out of that whole scene.
So appropriately, Christopher Lloyd was 47 at the time.
Hey.
Was he really?
Yeah,
wow, he's older than I thought he was.
So he's supposed to be 77 in the
As
85
dirt.
scenes, or
they never establish how
his
old.
His age doesn't match up.
Yeah,
anyway.
they don't say how old he is in 55, so we don't know.
18.
Yeah, flipped hard like Lorraine.
Yeah, the thing I do. Oh, yeah, they're drinking Pepsi at the dinner scene. That's the other Pepsi product placement.
I liked seeing the father watching the robot scene, and then later on Marty getting to watch that robot scene on the TV and saying, "I've seen this. How?
Yeah.
No one has two TVs. Good joke."
It's such it's not even a joke. It's always struck me the fucking peanut brittle.
Yeah, that is so weird.
It's so weird. It's just so weird, and like,
but it's normal to them.
And
I feel like that's normal.
Like, is eating peanut brittle in that way? Just considered
it's a candy
like from
dish.
a bowl,
from a because I like when I was.
It didn't look like a candy dish though. It looked like a cereal.
That's the thing. When I was
little,
before I knew what peanut brittle was, I thought it was just cereal.
Weird, big, chunky cereal. Yes.
And then as I got older, I'm like, oh no, they're just putting candy in a bowl and then eating it.
But it's also like it's not the whole thing. It just seems to be a thing George does. He pours it out and he's just eating it.
In the
thinks
background,
it's hilarious, by the way.
No, he thinks the robot's hilarious.
The robot, yeah. In the background, there are other boxes of peanut brittle that you can see. Like there's at least one on like the kitchen counter.
And here's the thing, that clearly wasn't just a Crispin Glover weird idea. The camera like focuses on it.
Yeah.
They thought that was important.
Like I was like,
well, there's a scene later where they actually show you that Crispin Glover's character was allergic to peanuts, and that might be why he's such a fucking nerd.
Yeah, his dad worked at the peanut brittle factory.
Oh, that could be.
My dad's a big wheel at the cracker factory.
Yeah,
that has always struck me as
odd. My dad's a big cracker at the wheel factory. So strange.
The other thing, again, it's a fucking comedy movie, so I'm not taking it too seriously, but
how dare you?
The fact that, in the end, Marty ends up changing the future by, not him directly, but indirectly.
With literally one act from 30 years ago.
Yeah. And everybody's changed in his family. His parents are both, successful and no longer lower class.
Still have the same kids. Only the kids are a little different, but they still have the same ones.
They have the same kids.
They
same
banged
house.
at exactly the same time.
House.
Right?
And yet, Marty evidently is the same as he ever was. Not that our Marty would change.
Has the same girlfriend.
But he has the same girlfriend. He wears the same clothes.
He's got a new car.
He's got the truck.
Yeah.
Which he
that's
parks
hot,
like an
or
asshole.
whatever he said.
That's always bothered me about the movie. Is
how the truck is parked in the garage?
So here's the thing. It's parked like a car in a Toyota ad would be.
Yeah, in a showroom.
Exactly,
it's a showroom ad. I'm sure it's product placement in Toyota.
Should have put a bow on.
Well, because they prominently put the word Toyota all over the car. On the windshield, it's very obviously a Toyota. And this, the way it's parked, just screams to me of like, okay, yeah, the Toyota people
paid us a lot of money.
We're
for this.
like, yeah.
That's funny. I would have assumed, because I actually didn't notice that it said Toyota, and I probably would have assumed it was a Ford.
Well, I think
you went and bought a Toyota, so it sunk in somehow.
The first time you
that's true.
see it, not in the garage. You see it earlier. Like, he admires, like, oh, look at that sweet car, Jennifer.
Mhm.
And it's, like, on a truck with a big Toyota sign on it. So
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Does it say it's hot?
I think so.
I think he says it's hot.
They say
or sick.
They use the word heavy a
Heavy.
lot in the 50s.
Is there something wrong with the gravity?
No,
in
it's
your
just
era?
Marty that does it.
I've never heard people use this word like it's slang before.
Well, it's
Yeah,
from,
yeah,
it's from the 80s.
It's an 80s
See, I was
term.
saying,
It just-
It
To be
means
honest-
like serious, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
something is like really
Wow.
serious or really.
I wrote it down. I was like, what is he
So
saying?
you were as
Gravity has-
confused as 50s Doc by this. then.
Apparently.
I'm not gonna
Ames
lie.
has always lived where the gravity was fine.
Yeah.
It's like
I've only heard it in this, so...
No, young ones. Oh, heavy.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
They say heavy all the time in that fucking.
yeah, it's
Mostly
movie.
Neil.
Well, yeah,
Who?
but
It's a British sitcom.
Sure.
It's just-
I believe
it's
it.
just
well,
a
actually,
slang.
it's a British variety show,
Yes,
Chris.
it's just a slang, you know.
Yeah,
It's
and it was-
not- It didn't age well, I guess.
I think they literally just had him do it so Doc could make the gravity joke.
Yeah,
Ah.
it'd be like if in 10 years somebody made a movie or like watched a movie where they were using the word hella a lot. They'd probably be like, "What the fuck are they saying?"
I mean, honestly, that would already sound
Oh, I
dated.
know it's already dated, but we at least know what it is.
True.
Imagine the kids these days.
Yeah, that was a dumb one. Thank God that
Yeah.
died.
It was-
Someone was telling me the kids these days as something that means like cool, because cool is not cool anymore, which I didn't know. They were saying like recent, because it's like when you're looking at things on YouTube, you look at the things that are most recent. And I'm like, oh my god, kids are just YouTube now, and it blows my mind. But anyway, I was gonna say,
yes.
so we're talking about the changes for the end when we come back to 1985,
Oh, yes.
and things have changed. I guess the original plan was for the present to change a lot, and it suddenly would be very more futuristic and shit, and they decided to scale it back and have it be more just personal things that would change.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they went that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate their restraint in that case.
Yeah.
Because,
Like Doc was going to have been like get a shot in the arm confidence-wise, as he knew that was eventually going to work, and therefore...
It's like someone sharing how to make transparent aluminum to him.
Yeah, and he just revolutionized the... Yeah, that would have been a bad ending. But yeah, there are certain things, like you said, Jake, because it's a comedy. And, like, they didn't really... Like, the main thing with these guys, they didn't want to make, like... The reason for time travel is they were just like, we've all thought, what would it be like to go back and meet your parents when they were, like, younger?
I haven't.
Well, no, neither did I, but that was their idea. It was
Yeah,
like, let's...
would I have been friends with my dad if we had been both the same age?
Right.
Probably not.
So for them, it was just like, time travel, sure. It's the means to an end for this story we want to tell. They very easily could have said, fuck it, fantasy, They just happened to say time travel. So yeah, certain things you can't think about too hard, because again, it does, like, the same exact kids. Like, when, like, people talk about, like, clearly with Back to the Future rules, it's established that changes to the timeline take a while to ripple, which is why Marty doesn't just disappear immediately.
Mm.
So in theory, eventually...
That part's not written yet.
Yeah. Marty will remember his new life. Will he remember his original one? That's unclear.
Let me beam you back inside yourself.
But for a time, at least, he doesn't know his own life.
Yeah. His
Yeah.
biography is way different. Like, but apparently they still went on this, or like they still took the same photograph wearing the same clothes.
Yep. And the one thing that bugged me that I didn't really think about till this time,
Uh-oh.
why is his brother going to the office? It's Saturday.
Maybe his office is like at a used car lot.
I mean, it's also, you're supposed to think, oh, he's one of these guys who's like a bit of a workaholic and he's going out on a Saturday for some reason. Honestly, I think they just wanted to say, like, look, now Dave is an office guy, not thinking about the fact that they already established this is a Saturday, he's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what kind of office, like Jake said. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I think just thinking business office is not the same as, like, like a car lot office or something.
Yeah.
Is still open on Saturdays.
Yeah. But that's the other thing, is he's clearly supposed to be, like, a successful yuppie now. Why is he still living at home?
Mm.
Maybe he just stops by for breakfast.
Yeah, why does Marty just randomly go by Doc's house before school?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And here's another thing, like, when I was in high school, like, I had to wake up, 6-something a.m., get to high school at 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It's way too early.
Oh,
fuck
too
high
early.
school times, man.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
Well,
No,
and
yeah,
I feel like they've been talking about starting
I would
later.
love it. I would well, it affects me not at all.
Well, no, I know.
For kids
but
these days, they would be much better.
Make their lives better.
Who
yes.
the hell has time to go over at 7 in the fucking morning
and play guitar.
visit Doc,
Well, here's
feed the
thing.
dog.
Here's the other thing, too, though. So, Marty is late for school by like 25 minutes, right?
Yeah, man.
So he was already
Oh, yeah,
late when he got there.
Yeah, that's what I said when we
Blaming
watched it.
Doc,
I was
but
like,
he's like, okay, pal.
It's not the
I was like,
clock's
you
problem.
got there late, bro.
And
Like-
then, like, why? Like, so Doc must have been expecting him to be there because he called.
He called his own house.
He called his own house.
Yeah, Doc knows Marty's a slacker.
I guess.
Him and Strickland are secretly friends, and he knows.
Or
Strickland says, "Why are you still hanging out with that crazy
That's
old
why
man?"
it's all part of some conspiracy.
see now, because I was gonna say maybe Doc just happens to know that Marty was there that day because
He's already seen the
remembers
future or
it. He
whatever.
remembers it from 30 years ago. But at that point, because we've established that that it's not continuous.
Yeah.
Because the mall changed names.
Yep.
Mhm.
So the first Doc that we see at the beginning of the movie does actually
Yep.
die.
Oh
He
yeah.
gets shot.
He bites it.
It's not that we just didn't see it, but because otherwise the mall would have not changed names.
So freaking Doc, even though now he's got the note from Marty, he reads, "Wear a fucking metal vest, you psycho." Remembers to do that and still forgets to bring enough, not dilithium. What are they using?
Plutonium.
Well, no, because he needed the film. He needed because he could have avoided the whole thing by just not having Marty meet him in that parking lot.
Yeah.
Have him meet someplace else. But here's the thing.
Oh my god.
He
made his own grandfather paradox.
Well, he needed to prevent a grandfather paradox. But he needed the Marty in 1985 that went back in time to still go back in time, or else that would be a paradox.
Yeah, he had to create it's not a fully stable time loop because there are changes, but he had to create as stable a time loop as possible.
Yeah. It's not explicitly spelled out, but that's how I've always felt about it.
Because you need, but yeah.
So Marty will always kiss his mom now.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I wrote my tagline for this movie is, "So this is the story of helping the most boring kid in high school get laid."
Yeah, well, he's also a fucking creep, George.
Well, Lorraine
Yeah.
is also thirsty as
oh,
fuck.
yeah, Lorraine.
She would if anyone fell out of that tree and into her bed, she would. Why did she take his pants off?
Get
What
out
the
of that
actual
tree
fuck?
and into my bed.
Yeah, George being a peeping Tom is very unsettling.
Yeah.
Lorraine taking his pants off is really unsettling.
Yes.
Well,
if
I
you
think-
flipped it would be fucking sexual harassment.
the whole,
or
Definitely.
sexual something for sure.
Definitely.
the whole joke there though is that in present day in 85,
Yeah.
she's a huge prude and she doesn't
She's pretending to
she
be
doesn't
a
like Jennifer because a girl should never chase a boy.
Oh,
or
because
call
she
a
knows
boy.
the boy I chased ended up with my life like this, and that's terrible.
Well, yeah, exactly. So
Ugh.
and then to show her that no, she's actually a fucking horn dog.
Yeah. I believe Marty says to young Doc, I think she was born a nun. It's like, oh, Marty.
No.
Speaking of taglines, I wanted to play this game with you guys at some point, and now's a good time
Sure.
a good a time as any to do it, because I have the list of taglines that I grabbed off IMDb for this movie.
No.
And you remember back when we talked about taglines for all the Star Trek movies?
Yep.
Oh boy, marketing companies or marketing divisions are terrible at taglines.
They are.
So which one's your favorite here in this list? Here we go.
no.
There's like 9 of them. He's the only kid ever to get into trouble before he was born.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeesh.
He was never in time for his classes. Then one day he wasn't in his time at all.
Ugh.
What the fuck?
That's fucking horrible.
17-year-old Marty McFly got home early last night. 30 years early.
That's the best so far, but awful.
Still bad.
Still bad.
Here's another classes one. He was never in time for his classes. He wasn't in time for his dinner. Then one day, he wasn't in his time at all.
They really liked that.
That
Yeah.
idea.
isn't a thing people say.
Nope.
Yeah.
On time, in time. It doesn't make. That's not a thing.
Okay, this one might be my favorite. Marty McFly's having the time of his life. The only question is, what time is it?
Ugh. Ugh.
Oh my god.
All right, two more. Meet Marty McFly.
No.
He's broken the time barrier, busted his parents' first date, and maybe botched his chances of ever being born.
That's just a plot
synopsis.
description, yeah.
Okay, and finally, Marty McFly just broke the time barrier. He's only got 1 week to get it fixed.
This is terrible. Why
I
did anybody go
think
see this
that
movie?
one made me die inside the least. I mean, it's so funny because, like, thank God whoever was working on the taglines wasn't working on the poster.
The poster is beautiful.
Yeah, it's
I do love that poster.
The 80s was a really great time for movie posters.
Yeah.
They were still doing them by hand largely. They were using real photographs, not Photoshop and
Or even
compositing.
just paintings.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. When it was,
Just paintings.
and like just him in the car with the fire, checking his watch. You know, it was like
Glasses.
just
I don't
Like we
Does
can,
he wear
like
those
how we know
glasses?
in the Wrath of Khan poster, they somehow predicted
Yeah.
Robin Curtis was going to be.
It's crazy.
Savick.
I don't. Oh no! For like 2 seconds when he plays the guitar before he explodes the giant amp. But yeah, again that must have been a marketing deal because like the original like teaser trailer is no footage from the movie. It's just him in the car.
Oh.
He like opens the door. He's got the glass and lifts him up and says, "I don't remember what."
We're out of time.
But yeah, no, the poster though so much better than any of those taglines. I wonder how bad the original trailer was.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, because trailers were often... They really didn't nail trailers until the 90s.
Do I have it right here on IMDb? I might have
I
it
feel
right
like
here.
trailers are so interesting to me because there were, I feel like prior to the mid 2000s, most trailers had a narrator.
Yes.
And it was in a world.
Well, was that one guy pretty much, and I think when he died, they were like, we're not going to bother doing this anymore.
Well, yeah, because now it's just like we're going to show a bunch of clips from the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with people saying lines just out of sequence from
Yes.
somewhere in the movie that's applicable.
Yeah.
The
You guys
CG.
want to watch the teaser?
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
A Robert Zemeckis film. Do I not have the fucking sound on?
No, you muted.
Son of a bitch. Alright, good. That probably wasn't talking yet.
Oh, that's right.
Good Foley on the shoes, though.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with him in the car. He gets into it.
Nikes though. We got some product placement.
Oh, boy.
Oh, look at those. Look at how that door opens. It's
They-
so futuristic and new.
They don't have the sound effect yet.
It's probably not even actually Michael J. Fox.
He shows up at the end.
It's Eric Stoltz.
Actually,
No, it's probably
I'd say, I think this is pretty cool.
as a teaser, yeah.
Yeah.
But you think it's about a car. You think it's a car movie.
True.
How far are you going?
30 years.
About 30 years.
Aha!
Little
Oh,
nerd.
Michael J. Fox is so cute.
He was.
I
Really
actually think that's a phenomenal teaser.
As far as, yeah. As a teaser goes, it's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, the actual, like, when their first proper trailer was probably not good.
Yeah, probably not.
That's how much heavy lifting the sound effects do.
Mm.
Because, like, obviously the door doesn't sound like that when it opens in real life.
No.
But
But it sounds cool.
Oh, yeah, it sounds great. Like, it's delightful. But also, Alan Silvestri, his
Who
contribution,
is-
the composer.
Okay.
Because they even said, like, they knew, again, it wasn't a huge budget film. And when you look at it, really, it's a very
Contained.
and
Yeah.
actually very simple plot. Kid goes back in time.
Yeah.
Nearly,
All in one town.
is like almost undoes his own birth and has to fix it.
Yeah. The stakes aren't huge. The stakes are personal.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say they're pretty huge for him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but not for it's not like a Star Trek movie where you go back in time and no matter what you're doing, you save the world.
Yeah. So it's like, they even said, when they got Alan Silvestri, they were like, we need the music to make this seem like larger scale than it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say delivered.
Yeah, I think you did.
Definitely.
I also got to shout out Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh yeah.
Because their music's featured prominently.
Yep.
Including, and I'm assuming that Back in Time was written for the movie.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Because it seems to reference the...
It references the movie.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I know
pretty directly.
they told Huey Lewis, like, okay, we're gonna pretend Marty McFly's favorite band is Huey Lewis and the News. Would you write us a custom song? And they're like, we're not gonna write you a Back to the Future song. How about you just take whatever our next hit is and use that? And they used Johnny B. Good, one of the most not Johnny B. Good.
No.
The other one. I wrote it
Chuck
down.
Berry song.
I wrote it down.
The
The Power of Love.
Power of Love. Yeah.
The other song in the movie, "The Power of Love," and they used that in the movie and all the thing. And then he had the spare time and did it anyway and wrote "Back in Time."
Yeah, which is like, honestly, Back in Time I think is the better song than Power of Love. I don't know. I never cared for Power of Love. but
It's fine.
That's the power of...
He
I
also
like it.
played the Battle of the Bands
Yeah,
judge,
the
which is
judge.
very cute. But speaking of Johnny B. Good, the reason I wanted to bring up Johnny B. Good is because they almost cut that scene because Zemeckis was like, it doesn't really add anything to the plot and all this stuff. But test audiences really fucking
yeah,
loved
it's
it.
iconic. It's
Yeah.
iconic scene.
I think the movie would have been better without it. Because of that tone thing I was talking about.
Yeah, it was.
before.
It did. Yeah.
Like, you can't go from rape to everyone, like, swing.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
I kind of wish
You couldn't
they
have
had
they
done.
flipped it or
Well,
something.
no, I think they could have done the assault a little less
Rapey? Yeah.
Like they could have still because we've already established that Biff is a scumbag.
Yeah.
And like he's kind of grabbing at her in the cafeteria in that earlier scene. But I feel like the thing that puts it over the edge is her begging George.
Oh, she is scared shitless.
Like that's the tonal. Like if I'm not saying to make it like a playful thing,
No,
or
no,
like
but-
tone it back in that way. But I feel like just the way that like and props to the actress, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
delivered convincingly.
Yeah.
Like that's like oh my god. But yeah, I think the way that she says it in that scene
Well,
makes it way more uncomfortable for the scenes that follow that are more comedic.
Yeah, like there's no good version of what he's trying to do.
No.
But that scene makes it clear that he's going for the worst possible.
Yeah.
He's not, and I use just in the world's biggest quotes here. He's not just trying to like force his tongue down her throat.
No.
He is going to rape her.
Yeah.
That is what is clear from everything in that scene. They could have downplayed it, just have you like he's trying to make out with her, and that's again still assault and gross and awful, but less horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for a comedy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is about to have its big musical number.
Yeah. And I get what, like, it was, it never really occurred to me until this watching somehow, even though I've seen this so many times. But, like, it's supposed to be kind of Marty's arc, because he's complaining that he'll never get to play in front of an audience after getting rejected for the ballot. And, oh, look, he did. And you can tell he's like, I did it. And maybe this will be the boost he needs, just like George got the boost he needed and all this. But yeah, it is weird, I guess. Again, it's one of those things that because I grew up on this movie, never occurred to me what a bizarre tonal shift it is. But yeah, it is. It is.
And like, as much as the Johnny B. Good scene is iconic, and I wouldn't get rid of it. Two things that have always irritated me about it.
Tell me.
I bet I know what one of them is.
The fucking voice.
Oh.
Oh my
That's
god,
not to
I
be-
was saying that too. It sounds nothing
That's
like
not
him.
to be helped, though.
Well, no.
You could have found someone that
It's just-
sounded a little bit like him.
Yeah.
His dancing was fun. I know he did a lot of work with choreographers on how to do all the dancing.
And then I get that it's a goofy, jokey movie. We're gonna put a joke in, but having the guitarist be Chuck
Berry.
Berry's cousin,
Yeah.
and like that whole it's your cousin, Marvin Berry. It's just so.
Also, it's the white aliens bringing culture to
Yeah.
the black people.
that is one of
It's
those-
like, what the fuck?
That's one of those things in later interviews that Zemeckis is like, yeah, we weren't really, we just wanted to make the Chuck Berry joke. The implication never occurred to us.
Well, I guess
Well,
the,
it was
Whoops.
a different time.
the other question is, see, if in the original 1985 that Marty came from, it would have been interesting if rock and roll didn't exist. And Marty was
Oh, that's funny.
And Marty wanted to play at the dance.
That does actually, though.
But he was like, I've invented this new kind of music for the dance, and they're like, no kid, we're not. That's fucking horrible.
I guess that does that's the one place where they break their own rules. Because, like you said, up until this point, like you said, the Twin Pines Mall and Doc does die and this and that, but clearly Johnny B. Good already
Does
existed.
happen. Yeah, I don't think I never appreciated like what the timeline for that was because I didn't know much about Johnny B. Good until I just looked it up earlier today. It's a 1958 song, so clearly it came out 3 minutes. Fuck
Yep.
my life.
It's all 3 minutes.
3 years after Marty McFly went back in time and made it happen. Played it for Chuck Berry over the phone so he could write it down himself. Neat. But I assumed, because I didn't know when the song was, I thought it was a later song, and thus, when they say, oh, maybe you kids aren't ready for this yet, it was because the song was too past their era.
No,
But
it's because
it's because his guitar playing over
Yeah,
his
it's
head
because he
is
started
past their
playing
era.
it like a
All right.
hair metal band.
I
didn't
get that joke.
Because at first they were into the song. It was when he went into, like, overdoing it on the guitar that everyone was kind of like, the fuck?
They
Yeah.
weren't ready for
Yeah,
80s level shredding.
Guitar
Yeah.
tricks and shit.
Speaking of shredding,
Shredder.
shredding and
From the
music,
Turtles.
I mean, another prominently featured artist in this film is the musical stylings of Mr. Edward Van Halen.
I saw that.
And I'm sure you read about, or no, maybe you did read about the backstory there.
I read a sentence on IMDb, but
So-
tell us, Jake.
The story there is that they wanted to include in that scene where, and this of course is the scene where Marty tells
The spaceman from
the
Pluto,
spaceman
excuse
from-
me.
well, he's from
right.
Vulcan, if you recall.
Well, in the title,
Yes,
if they made the title Spaceman from Pluto, that's what it would have been.
But they wanted to make him wake George up with Van Halen music, but the record label would not license Van Halen, the band, music for that scene. So they went to Eddie Van Halen, the guy,
Yeah.
and said, hey, would you just
Do some sick shreds.
do some shredding for us? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So the reason why the tape says Van Halen and then really small above it, Edward,
Yep.
is because they couldn't say just Van Halen because that's the name of the band, and it wasn't the band, it was just him. So it's
Yeah.
just that, so they're like, well, they can't sue us for using the man's name. It's just his name.
Yep.
Same would be the problem with like John Bon Jovi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's why, Prince famously changed his name to a symbol for a while, because technically a record company owned the name Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people made fun of him, oh, what's this asshole? He's like, actually, he's being quite clever.
But,
Yeah.
So that's another.
Amusing little anecdote there,
Yeah. So in that case, then, so Marty couldn't have invented rock and roll because he has a rock and roll.
Yep.
Well, he has a Van
Eddie Van
Halen
Halen
tape.
Edward Van Halen invented rock and roll.
Must be.
Apparently.
So here's the thing, that was clearly a traumatic event in George's life.
This whole movie, or being woken up by a spaceman?
Being woken up by a spaceman.
Okay, that part. The rest of it he's fine with because he's so
Weird.
brain weird.
But, like, so this all clearly stuck with him. So he probably remembers that event in a way, like, he probably remembers it clearly the rest of his life.
I mean, it's the subject of his novel.
Yes. But, I mean, he probably remembers, like, every little detail.
Meaning that
So
when
fast
Darth
forward
Vader in Star Trek
11
happens-
years to 1966. He's Vulcanian. I'm sorry, what? And George is a big nerd, so he was there
he was
for the
definitely
first
watching
episode.
Star Trek, yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry, what?
The
And then,
planet Vulcan. Oh my god!
yeah,
It
22
was
years
true.
after that, Darth Vader. What the fuck? And then one day his son starts to look suspiciously like that kid.
Well, it's he would just he would just assume that Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas had also been visited by Darth Vader from Planet
Oh,
Vulcan.
that's a good way to put that.
I now love the idea of George seeking them out. Be like, you met him too! And they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, you funny little man?
Zemeckis has also tried to address the why don't the parents notice that their son looks just like Calvin Klein. And basically Zemeckis has said, like, okay, try to picture someone you
Yeah.
remember from high school.
Yep.
Can you picture them at all? Someone that you knew for only a week and then left forever. Okay, now you have this child that you see over the course of fucking decades slowly emerging to,
Yeah.
to have the face that they have. You will not notice.
Yeah, no. And that's the reality of it. They don't know him that long.
Like, they never took a picture of him.
Nope.
Lorraine probably did while he was passed
Oh,
out.
God,
the dirty,
Lorraine!
dirty bitch.
Ugh.
God damn it.
Now, if any of them, since you have seen 3, ever stumble across that photo in the archives at the library,
Oh yeah.
like, wait.
Marty's his own grandpa.
Well,
But no, they wouldn't be too surprised because
That's true.
Spoilers for that movie.
yeah.
Marty's great grandfather also looks exactly
Yes.
like him. So it's just they'll just be like, oh, it's some
Strong
other McFly.
genes.
Yep. Oh, boy, that trope.
It skipped George though.
I'm glad that Marty's skateboarding superpowers come back to help him out. I really enjoyed that. Someone yelled, "It's a board with wheels!" And
Yeah, great line.
I died a little.
Yelled what?
It's a board with wheels.
Oh, that scene. Manure.
Yeah, like I think a lot of they're really kind of corny. A lot of the things that are like, but I love them. I have such a soft spot. A lot of the stuff that happens in the scene where he's at Lorraine's house is all just like jokey reference stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, who's JFK? You know.
Who's the president? Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that scene too. Yeah,
actor.
You said that a couple years ago. Who's the president? Donald Trump. The real estate nonsense man.
Yeah, no one has 2 TVs and all that stuff. So, I mean,
I like that he got to finally meet his uncle.
Yeah. Get used to these bars, kid.
That was a good joke. I like that one.
I do want to know what Joey did, though. Why is he trapped in prison?
I mean, it's
failing to make parole.
He put a dog in a DeLorean.
Holy shit!
Fuck you, Doc.
Yeah, no, but seriously, had the DeLorean not worked, you kind of were getting to this earlier, Caitlin, they would have been killed.
They were aiming the thing right at themselves for no reason.
Well, Doc was aiming it at them. Marty did try to kind of like slink away, and Doc just gives him a look like, we die together.
See, Doc was way too confident.
Yes.
Or way too ready to die.
Maybe he's like, I put my entire...
If this doesn't work, I hope I fucking die.
I put my entire family fortune into this project. If it fails, I'm gonna kill myself anyway. Might as well take out this annoying kid with me.
He's actually paid off by, I don't know, the other members of the band.
Imagine like...
They broke his...
So here's the thing. Imagine if the time machine didn't work.
Okay.
And the police... and like, what would the police report be? Okay...
There was a dog driving a car.
We found a dog in a remote control car that had apparently run over 2 men
who shouldn't be dealing with each other at all.
And then there's evidence that like their
plutonium
was there, but it had been stolen by someone saw a Volkswagen bus speeding away. Because the thing, the Libyans would have shown up
anyway,
and they would have just found them all dead.
It'd been like, that's our job done.
Okay, I guess we'll just take the plutonium back.
But there still would have been the one rod in the car.
That's true.
Because it would have been used. But that's the thing. Basically, the police report would have very quickly been the FBI swooped in and took this over, and it is now so classified.
And now they have time travel technology.
Ew.
Yeah.
Regarding the dog. Good dog. They originally planned for Einstein to instead be Shemp, Doc's pet chimpanzee.
Oh, no, I hate that.
And Scheinberg, I know we say Scheinberg's bad at titles, he at least understands that you don't make films with chimpanzees.
Yeah, no, monkeys suck.
People don't like them.
No, they don't.
Yeah, people don't like them and they shit everywhere.
They're too, it's the uncanny valley thing. They're too close to humans without being human that they just put my teeth on edge.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Like, I think that's why I don't like them. I genuinely think it's because, like, they're close enough to us that,
but they still suck.
Yeah. And it's like, nope, this is weird.
That just kind of gives them more points in the too much like humans category.
Yeah, because humans suck too.
Yeah, we do. We're the worst. That's why I believe in evolution. Monkeys suck, we suck. There's a perfect chain there.
The only time you should have a monkey in a movie is if the monkey is testing dates to make sure they're not poisoned.
Fair. It took me ages to realize, like, I did realize it a long time ago, but that Doc apparently made Einstein his own little radiation suit.
Yes, because when he's in the bus.
He's got some kind of, like, for the longest time I thought it was just like a little, like, hat.
Oh, he's got a vest
But it's
on.
a whole, it's a whole thing. Like, oh, he made a dog radiation suit.
Well, he's crazy. He's not a monster. Jesus.
He can be 2 things. Aim the car directly at us. Why?
Do love is the line when 50s Doc is watching the video. Oh, yeah, it's a radiation suit. Of course. All the fallout from the atomic wars.
Yeah.
That was good, too.
Especially because, like, if you've read enough 50s sci-fi, they really did just think atomic wars were inevitable, but that also a lot of people would somehow survive them.
Yeah, see Brendan Fraser movie.
Oh,
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past.
Yeah. But yeah, like, even, I think, what is it? Fahrenheit 451. The novel, it's easy to forget, because it's kind of not the point, but, like, it does end, like, one of the last of major events is, like, a lot of American cities getting nuked by, I assume, Russia.
Whoopsie.
Like, but they really just...
No, it's Doc. Doc did it.
Yes. But yeah, like, a lot, because I read a lot of 50s sci-fi when I was younger, you know, novels and mostly short stories, and yeah, like, they were just like, oh, yeah, no, one day there's going to be a huge nuclear war, but we'll be fine.
Well,
the radiation...
You just get under your desk and you'll be fine.
Yeah, the fallout won't last that long.
Doc's freaking timer devices, his little clock that he has synced up, pissed me off too, because they didn't have a seconds field.
True, they only had the blinky thing.
And he just says, "Oh look, they're perfectly synced up," and you have to wait a full minute to see that they click over at the same time. And I'm like, "Fuck you, Doc! Get a different fucking watch." For a man with so many fucking clocks in his house.
So many, and 3 watches at the end of the movie.
Well, you can never have too many watches.
Yeah, when he's going, damn. Where's that kid? Damn.
Did he check a different watch every time?
I
missed that.
He had a watch on this wrist.
Oh, wow.
He had a pocket watch, and then he had one with the watch on the top of his wrist and one on the bottom of his wrist.
He's a man.
And a pocket watch.
Each one is a different time.
And of course, he had that alarm clock in his pocket that he would later be putting on the dashboard of the DeLorean.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, many watches, normal, accessorizing human being. Loads and loads of clocks, fucking wacko. Which is a technical term.
So, obviously,
Obviously.
Doc would have been electrocuted, holding on to the wire.
Dead as
the
fuck.
lightning?
When the lightning struck.
That is a dead man.
But somehow he survived. He got better.
Well, he always, the gloves, you couldn't tell. They weren't leather, they were rubber. They insulated.
But
maybe he was Vulcan, and therefore not susceptible to electricity.
We're saying that the lightning was 1.21 gigawatts.
Gigawatts!
Yeah.
How's a gigawatt?
It's a billion watts. So think about 100-watt light bulb.
It's a very bright light bulb.
Yeah, it's 100 million of those, right? I don't know.
I believe you, which was a mistake.
10 million 100-watt bulb?
I office manage. I don't
have maths. I don't have maths. Anyway, yeah, rubber gloves aren't going to help you.
No, I know.
That type of power.
Maybe
also,
a different Doc from the future came back to take his place, you see. Wait a minute.
There's also the fact that it's gigawatts.
Well, I've always thought about that, and everyone makes fun of it. No, I have, because I think it's people...
Always?
So, obviously...
Every waking moment of his life, he is
obviously,
spent
we
thinking
would
about
now
gigawatts.
pronounce it gigawatt.
Yes.
But I think that at the time... And, it's correctly pronounced gigawatt. But I think at the time, computers were in the single megahertz or kilobytes. So... I don't think there was most people didn't have there wasn't a layman's understanding of SI
in the
units.
50s or the 80s?
In the 80s.
Okay.
In the 80s.
So in the movie, or in the making of the movie, not in the movie
I
in
feel
the past.
like the word giga, or the SI prefix giga, really entered public consciousness with the gigabyte.
Yeah.
Or the gigahertz.
So the story Zemeckis tells, and I don't know how true it is, or if it's just him covering his own ass, is that they did ask... a scientist, how will you pronounce this fucking word? But the scientist wasn't American, and wherever he was from, it was gigawatt. Now, do I entirely believe that? Maybe, but it also feels like covering your ass.
They asked one of the scientists who said that the animated image format is GIF.
Yes.
And not GIF, as it obviously is.
But yeah, it didn't occur to me, you're right, that I guess, less... Because I always thought, no one on set knew, but yeah, you're right.
If you weren't working in a scientific field, I just don't think that you would encounter that prefix.
Doc Brown has just never heard it out loud before.
Yeah, that's also
How do you
possible.
say this? Scion? Skiing?
Nuclear?
I'm a scientist.
Oh god, Doc Brown.
Oh no, not Doc Brown.
World's worst scientist. I love... that he has just a pile of oily rags and open paint cans in his lab.
Well, so
it was the 50s.
But here's the thing. There's a newspaper that you see on the wall.
You do.
That says that Brown Manor burns down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why... So I feel like
that's a manor?
So,
no.
So
at the beginning of the movie, they're showing, news articles and stuff in his house, and one of the articles is about how his old house, which presumably was Brown Manor, hath burnt down.
Well, that's what I just said.
So
that's a manor?
We see Brown... So, okay.
Yeah, in the 50s.
So the beginning of the film...
Oh, I thought you meant the one at the beginning. Is
when Marty goes
the one that burns down.
Marty goes to his house, and it's actually his garage.
Yeah.
Which is where his lab is.
Mm-hmm, where he feeds his dog, evidently. And makes his coffee
and now that's
in the garage, where everyone does.
Yeah, that beginning scene with all the clocks and the amplifier, that's in Doc Brown's garage. That's in the back of a
Burger King.
What?
There's
You didn't notice that?
Oh, I didn't notice
It's in like the
that.
parking lot of a Burger King.
I haven't seen this movie 100 times like Jake
Now,
has.
in
Fair.
the 50s, Marty goes to Doc Brown's house, which is on not JFK Boulevard, which is where
Who's JFK?
exactly, which is where the Burger King was. But they show and they do. It's kind of subtle, but they show the same garage from the beginning of the movie, and then they pan over to the much larger mansion next door, and that's Brown Manor, and that's where Marty goes to knock on the door at first. So the first time he knocks on the door, and Doc opens the door, and he's got the fucking weird thing on his head.
Okay.
That's Brown Manor. And
then
Doc,
but the garage survives.
and then Doc goes to the garage
Because it's detached.
and then so the implication is that Doc burned down with some experiment or oily rags the manor.
I mean, I honestly think he did it on purpose
They
for the
turned it
insurance money to
Probably.
pay for
Turned it
his
into-
experiments.
Possibly.
He has
buy
a
it.
share in Burger King.
And that,
So the idea is that Doc's in the same place as he was in the 50s. It's just
He lives in the garage.
The house is gone now, and he lives in the garage, and he sold most of the property to Burger King.
Yeah, and again, I assume like it was a purposeful insurance scam fire.
Oh, quite possibly. But yeah.
I like that kind of a thing. You can it's subtle and you can like work backwards and figure it out.
Yep.
Well, some things they spelled out a little too much. Like I actually really enjoyed because in 1985 times you pan around and elect Goldie for mayor. For mayor, go Goldie. We like Goldie, and then we meet Goldie working at the pop store, not the soda fountain.
Yes.
Whatever
soda
that place was.
Cafe.
Yeah,
diner.
working there sweeping floors. And Marty says, "Oh yeah, you're Goldie," and I'm like, "Wow." He becomes mayor later, and then Marty says, "You should run for mayor." I'm like, "You didn't need it. I already got there without you. Damn it, fuck you."
You'd probably be amazed how many people needed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then
but
you wouldn't get to hear him be like, I like how that sounds. Mayor!
I did like
Which
that.
is great.
Speaking of that cafe,
Okay.
so there's a later scene there. So this town just clearly lets Biff Tannen run rampant.
Yes.
Like, he
the principal too.
Yeah, he blatantly is like, "Hey, George, give me money." There are adults there who could stop him, and they don't.
Well, they
He's
also
got
don't like
goons.
McFly,
You can't beat Biff. He's got the goons. And I was going to ask Jake because I know I was talking to Jake earlier because Jake knows everything about this movie, and I said, "Okay, what are Biff's goons' names?"
Oh,
I don't know
They
the
got
character names.
great fucking names.
I only remember that the one with the 3D glasses is just 3D.
Yeah, so that's 3D, of course.
Mhm.
Because
Of course.
it's obviously you have a goon friend who just wears 3D glasses around.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also Skinhead and Match.
Yikes.
Match, I assume, is Billy Zane.
Yes.
Also love that that's fucking Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Because one of those things at the time, it was just some extra. Now you're like, that's fucking Billy Zane.
I mean, but Billy Zane, he's not that big a deal.
Well, no, but still, I mean,
He was
unlike
in
the...
Titanic?
Let's be honest.
Yeah, but what else?
Like, list the other...
Phantom.
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
But,
and he was, he's the bad guy in the Flintstones movie.
Is he?
I
No.
think so. Is that not him?
No, that's somebody else. But anyway, I'm just saying, if you look at, say, Biff and his goons,
Mm-hmm.
of the four of them, I'm including Biff, who's the most recognizable now?
Oh, yeah.
Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Well,
because he was in one of the biggest movies
yeah.
in history.
Yeah.
Later.
And they kind of tried to make him a thing in the 90s and never really
Do you mean
took off,
Phantom?
Of course.
The Flintstones movie, obviously.
But yeah, he definitely is the most famous. Biff is mostly just Biff still. Thomas F. Wilson.
Yeah.
Did a good job.
He was in the show Freaks and Geeks.
Really?
Yeah, he played the gym teacher.
Who was?
He also does voice
Billy
acting,
Zane?
I think.
No, the actor that
Biff.
Biff? Oh, that's wild. I wouldn't have even guessed that he had done any other work. I mean, of course, that doesn't make any sense, but...
How cringy was it with the goons harassing the band members in the parking lot?
I mean, it was cringy, but not
accurate.
but not in a way that took me out of the movie. Because the idea that these three dudes were fucking huge racists didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's on brand.
Yep.
It is very I feel like the slur that they use, which I won't repeat.
No.
But the slur that they use is it's shocking. Obviously there are worse slurs
Which you also won't say.
Which I also won't say. But, like, that one's one that you don't hear much.
Yeah.
So hearing it in the movie, I was like, whoa, hey, whoa.
Yeah, that, yeah. It's archaic.
Yeah.
It didn't stick around like some of the others.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh. For some reason, I had a bigger reaction to that than I would have if they'd used the other one, probably, just because the other one is.
Yeah, I feel like you don't even hear
more mainstream.
You don't even hear it in the
Unfortunately.
South anymore. Probably, like
Yeah.
they have better words for them to use. Ugh.
But yeah, and the reefer addict.
Yeah.
was good though.
Also, yeah, it felt, again, accurate.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Biff's reaction to being punched because he does this whole fucking spin
Yep.
and then slams into the car, and it's like excellent choreography right there.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah, and I don't know. Aside from the rapiness, there's parts of Biff's characterization that I do enjoy. When he says, "Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?" I've always loved that.
That was ad-libbed.
No shit.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
he made that
beautiful.
up himself. It was Thomas Wilson.
That's great.
That's fucking great, because that ends up being a big part of the character.
Yeah. Well,
Like, that's what you remember
Well, that's
it for.
the thing. A little preview for our future episodes, but I feel like the sequels to Back to the Future, I said this to Angie the other day, they're not so much like there's a type of sequel where they legitimately do something new with a franchise and like take it in a new direction. I'd say like Empire Strikes Back feels kind of like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Then there's the category of sequel that's just we're going to do the first movie but different. But
With a different, like, skin.
different skin. That's the Ghostbusters model. Ghostbusters
Or
2,
Airplane 2.
Or Airplane 2. But Airplane 2 is conscious about it.
True.
And then there's the movie where we're just going to make the sequel a tribute film to the original. And that's where I think Back to the Future 2 falls, where it's just, no, we're just going to drop a bunch of Back to the Future 1 member berries for you. And
Does he say make a tree and leave, or does he come up with new ones?
Just all like a screen door on a battleship instead of this phrase as a screen door on a submarine, which would obviously make no sense. But he says a screen door on a battleship.
That's silly.
The idea that he just fucks up common idioms is
But that was, again, we'll get into it more when we get to 2, but that was conscious on their part.
Oh yeah,
they were
absolutely.
like, because we're a time travel film, we can really play with this idea of the sequel as a concept, meta-narratively.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if Star Trek Picard Season 3 were a movie, it would be Back to the Future Part 2.
Wow.
That's
strange.
That's both my review of 2 and Star Trek
and Picard season
Yes,
3.
but there's one I'm going to be happy to watch again and again, and one I will not watch again until we're forced to by this show.
No.
For me, it's the opposite.
True.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show.
What, season 3?
Yeah.
Season 3 is low bar, but it's the best season of Picard.
No doubt.
Oh, that's true. But
Anywho, that's another Star Trek connection.
Oh no.
That
Worf and his DeLorean.
It's like a IRL connection, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The cast replacement, the
oh yeah,
Genevieve Bujold.
Oh, that kind of casual. I'm
Genevieve.
trying to think when else that happened.
Genevieve?
Yeah, when
No, it's not Genevieve.
Genevieve.
Oh, okay.
Genevieve.
Oh, it is Genevieve. Okay, great. I was like...
There are actually, we didn't say this earlier, but there are a few shots of Eric Stoltz left in the film.
That's the thing. Well, yeah, there's...
I think that they said there's no way to prove it, because I think it's just his hand or something.
Supposedly you can kind of see him driving at one point.
Oh, really? Oh, that's it. Well, in that case, it could have just been a stunt driver.
Sure.
Which would be
But he was
hard
in,
to
at
prove,
the very
I
least,
guess.
the stunt driver was in the Stoltz, because Stoltz's costume was completely different.
Oh, was it? He didn't have the puffy
No,
vest? I
which
like the
means they
puffy
had to
vest.
have rewritten all that dialogue
Yeah, because
about...
there's a lot of great jokes about
the
life
vest,
preserver.
yeah.
Well, maybe he had some other type of sailor
No,
stuff.
I think he was just in like a black suit jacket, kind of.
Yeah. I also know they had to replace the actress playing Jennifer because they polled everybody on the lot or something one day and said, okay, now that we have Fox instead of Stoltz, and Stoltz is like 6 foot tall and Fox is not, is it weird for his girlfriend to be that much taller than him? Because the original actress was taller. And apparently, unanimously, all the women said, yeah, that's weird.
Really?
To which I'm like, wow, I would have expected it to go the other way around and for like men
The
to be like
guys to be like, it's
insecure or
The
something.
thing is that
Some men love tall women.
They also use Michael J. Fox's height as a visual
Oh, yeah,
gag
and it's
through
quite
the
good.
movie. Like
Yeah.
twice. Like they do it 2 times
At least.
where they show him being noticeably short.
Yeah, well,
and-
especially compared to we found out Thomas Wilson's like 6'4".
Yeah,
Oof.
so he's a big guy. Yeah, but like the gag when they're in the diner and he's like looking over Biff's
Yeah.
shoulder, it's like it's obvious. It's very wink at the camera.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, even, like, in so many scenes, like, there's a scene where Doc is kind of explaining what's going on with the time machine after it vanishes, and they're kind of running back and forth.
Yeah.
And they even said part of the reason was kind of to de-emphasize just how much of a height difference there was.
They had to have he do his hunch. Like this is why Doc Brown hunches,
Yes.
because there's like I don't know why they think it's weird that their heights are different. They're just men. People's heights are fucking different.
Well, I think in that case it's less the weird and more it's easier to have them
Yeah,
both
it's
in a
hard
tight shot. Like, the shot can only be so
maybe.
tight if there's that much height difference. But yeah, the thing about the women,
The women.
the height between, the boy and the girl being weird. Like, yeah, again, it's kind of surprising the women would be like, yeah, no, that's strange, but...
Well, that could just be telling, too, though. I feel like there is sort of a stereotype that women don't want to date short guys.
Mm.
I personally love a short king, but, you do you, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Another scene that I want to make a
Comment on.
a shout out to is
Okay.
Doc Brown's crude model.
I know.
I don't have time to paint it or make it to scale.
Bro,
Still a lot of detail there, buddy. Also, we didn't actually need a model at all.
no,
Oh, that's
it
true.
didn't do any. It just set fire to those rags.
Yeah, he just really wanted to build that model. I think he'd already started building it for something else anyway. He's like, well,
Yeah.
gotta use it.
Oh, there's very subtle background gag. Not even a gag. I don't know. But when Doc is being harassed by the police,
Yeah.
and the cop asks, "Do you have a permit for this equipment?" And then he's like, "Of course I do." And then he pulls out his wallet
Yep.
and starts. And he says that obviously the jokes that he's bribing the cop.
Oh wow.
And it, like,
that's a sneaky one, yeah.
yeah, and that it never comes up really that happens. It's not really important.
Yeah,
And I was just wondered if there was a particular reason why they
Well-
included this bribe.
because Hill Valley is slowly sliding into Sodom and Gomorrah corruption.
Yeah.
Like, remember the square in 1985 is a lot of pornography.
Yeah, they're
A
all.
lot.
There's a porn store, a porn theater.
Yeah, it says orgy American style on the
there's-
marquee.
I think there's 2 porn theaters. I think both of the movie theaters are showing a porn.
Yeah, and again, there's a shop which I didn't notice till this viewing.
Okay, but what is an American-style orgy as opposed to non-American style?
No healthcare.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Uh,
Yay.
But yeah, and it's funny because when he gets back, like, his life is better, but Hill Valley's still apparently just descending into just seediness because all that's still there.
And the part, so not only did Hill Valley never fix the clock,
Nope.
Now it has more damage.
now it has more damage because you can actually see when he returns to 1985 and there's a helicopter flying overhead for some reason.
That's how you know he's made it.
That's right. It shines its light at the
Looks like they
clock,
made it.
and you can see the spot where
Oh, right.
the ledge broke away from Doc Brown being up there.
Imagine raising, like, in a way I said it, like, this is the most American thing ever. Raising money to make sure something doesn't get fixed.
Mm.
Like, that just feels very American.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's no segue out.
Good movie. 2 thumbs way up.
Yeah, big time.
Acceptable movie. I have almost no nostalgia glasses for it.
Yeah, but again, by my own admission.
Michael J. Fox forever.
Like, this is possibly my favorite trilogy of all time still. So,
I mean, to be fair, most trilogies do not nail
yeah,
it.
most trilogies fuck up in the third act.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, X-Men,
So fuck up in the second.
Well, yeah, true.
Star Wars and Star Wars. We've got Star Wars for both arguments
3
there.
different Star Wars.
Like, most people would say, well, Chris, what about Lord of the Rings? And it's like, well, yeah, but I can watch this in 6 hours instead of 13. So, it's got that going for it.
Even though I think Michael J. Fox is perfect in this role. Although I think my favorite Michael J. Fox performance was Chance the dog in Homeward Bound.
Aww.
Fucking amazing.
Oh,
Act like
yeah.
you don't want it. That's a great. I love that.
Da.
I love that movie.
Other young stars considered for the Marty McFly role: John Cusack.
Leonardo DiCaprio? No, too young.
No,
Too
he was a
young.
baby.
C. Thomas Howell.
See,
I
from The
know.
Outsiders?
He ends up playing one of the goons.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know that name.
He's from The Outsiders, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. Johnny Depp.
Nope.
Ugh.
Ralph Macchio.
Oh God, thank God that
He's
didn't
definitely from The Outsiders.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, see, Thomas Howell played Ponyboy. Not Ponyboy. Yeah, Ponyboy.
John Cryer. Ben Stiller.
Oh, John Cryer.
Peter DeLuise. Billy Zane gets to play one of the goons.
Peter DeLuise.
Robert Downey Jr. Matthew
Oh.
Modine.
happen. Basically, all the
Robert
young
Downey
'80s up and comers.
Anybody who would have been roughly an appropriate age at the time.
I would like to see a Robert Downey Jr. Back to the Future. I want to go to that universe just long enough to watch that. I love RDJ.
Fair enough. I feel like a lot of those choices, like for lack of a better term, are too pretty.
Oh yeah, Robert Downey Jr. was definitely too pretty.
Like I feel like Marty should be a little more like Michael
like
J.
a
Fox.
normal boy.
Yeah, he's not unattractive, but he's more regular looking.
He's
for
a
lack of
good-looking
better term.
normal
In
boy.
Teen Wolf, however.
So
It is
like,
interesting though that like Michael
that's
J.
a wolf.
Fox.
Oh, fair enough.
Michael J. Fox would have been, pretty much only known, I can assume, at this time for Family Ties.
yeah,
Mm.
Where he plays a very different character.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I feel like having him go from that character to Marty opened up a lot of career opportunities.
Why is he like a bad boy in that show?
No,
Family
the
Ties.
opposite.
No, in Family Ties, he plays like a conservative. Like he
Like-
wears like a suit and tie.
The whole gag
so
is
kind of a bad boy.
yeah. So the whole gag is like
Ugh.
his parents are aging hippies,
Yeah.
and their version of a rebellious kid
Oh,
is
man.
a like Reaganite teenager.
Don't they kind of also do that in Married with Children? Isn't there one son kind of like a... Maybe I'm making it up.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Married with Children, I feel like the whole family.
They're all
was a
just kinda
bunch of-
white trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought the son was... I don't know. Don't
Couldn't
worry
tell
about
ya.
it.
Haven't seen it in years.
Here's a list for other potential Doc Browns.
All
even
bad
though-
choices.
Even though, like, no one but Christopher Lloyd. But let's take a look. The first one on my list
If
is
it's
Jeff,
not Danny
Jeff
DeVito.
Goldblum.
Definitely too pretty.
Too pretty.
And too young at
Still
that point.
wily, though. The wiliness would be interesting.
Yeah, but
Way,
he was,
way
again,
young, though.
Yeah, like he's not. Well, it would have made him less. Well, no, but he would have been aged up with makeup. So yeah, just too close in age too to Michael J. Fox. Like just far too young.
See, I think if they were concerned about the height difference, they should have just got Danny DeVito.
Jesus. Ooh.
Okay,
Keep-
I would
keeping-
also
this is
kind of like to see that.
Keeping it
I
in the
want this
Taxi
universe.
family.
True.
Who else have we got? We got John Lithgow, which could be
Okay.
interesting.
I see the sense there.
Dudley Moore.
No,
Don't see it.
terrible
Ron-
choice.
Who's Ron Silver?
Oh, I know that name, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it is very familiar, and I can't think of either.
I'll Google him.
Is Dudley Moore the one that did the like narration for Milo and Otis? He's like Australian or something.
British.
Is he British?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I think
well.
he's British.
I thought he was a Canadian.
He's in
and,
that Bo Derek movie.
That guy, yeah.
Oh, and he
Let me
was in
see.
Oh, is he the shithead from Die Hard? The one that like sells out the company to not the company, he like sells out to
I don't know. I don't recognize. It's not ringing a bell for me, so maybe I don't know who that guy is. I just heard that.
I think this choice would be strong but wrong, but Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, no way.
Strong but wrong.
Oh God, and
It
especially
would have become a
because-
Robin Williams.
I
film.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
I don't
say, if
even-
you thought it was too goofy now, imagine if Robin Williams
I mean,
was improving his
can
way
I
all
just
over it.
say,
You can.
That's how I feel with Robin Williams. I feel like in the few roles that I think he did all right in, but most of the time I can't see past his Robin Williams-ness.
Yeah, if you want Robin Williams-ness, he's perfect for your movie. I think this one, Robin Williams-ness is not the one.
I think the strongest performances from Robin Williams I've seen are when he doesn't do a comedy. Like the few dramas that he's done have actually been pretty good.
I was wrong. He was not the guy in Die Hard.
Dang.
But he is, ironically enough, the bad guy in Time Cop.
Oh.
Oh, we also got John Cleese on the list, who probably could have stepped in if Gundy
I
was
don't know.
there.
I feel like that's another one.
another
Where
too much
I
John
couldn't see
Cleese-ness?
past the John Cleesiness.
Yeah.
Well, plus has he done Q by then?
Oh, no. He
That's
wasn't
from the
Q
90s,
until
right?
the
The
very
90s.
late 90s.
Okay, well,
Where, again, you're just sitting there going, hey, it's John Cleese in James Bond.
And then Mandy Patinkin, Gene Hackman, James Woods.
Mandy Patinkin.
Interesting.
Interesting
James
choice.
Woods.
Yeah.
Well, he sucks, so I'm glad that
Yeah.
wasn't it.
Yeah. Mandy Patinkin, yeah. And what was the other one? Gene Hackman. Wow, that... I mean, good actor, but He almost would have been, well, yeah, he would have been way more subdued.
Yeah.
I also don't see him, well, then again, he did play that unhinged Lex Luthor in the 70s.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine anybody other than Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
At this point.
Especially with the hair. Like, could anyone else have pulled off that hair?
No. Speaking of that hair, on a down note,
Oh no.
for some reason...
Why are we ending on the down note?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, come on, it's like when we do our top and bottom. For some reason, someone decided there should be a Back to the Future musical.
Oh no.
I tried to listen to a song from it. I maybe made it a minute in out of 3+ minutes.
Literally
and
a
died
down
inside.
note.
Yeah.
I mean, people always say that Hollywood is out of ideas.
Oh, Broadway's been
but
out of
Broadway's
ideas for a long
way
ass
worse.
time. Like, it's unfortunately, I think, Mel Brooks' fault. Like, the producers was fucking huge, and everyone was like, let's just adapt movies into musicals. And it's like, guys, no. The producers was lightning in a bottle.
Mean Girls is supposed to be really good.
I'm sure it
I'm
is.
so not interested
I
in
think there's a
seeing musical
Beetlejuice
movies.
musical.
Yes, there was. There was.
And they did the Addams Family musical.
Yep, that, I couldn't get through a single song of that
Isn't
either.
there who the fuck sent this to me? My brain is gone. A Star Trek Wrath of Khan musical.
That's an
Oh, yeah,
off-Broadway comedy one being done by...
A really good YouTuber, right?
yeah, he does like
that's
comedy
Brental
songs.
Floss, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So that
I
thing-
would actually trust him. And actually, what was really funny was when he first wrote about it on Facebook, I responded and said, would you take a lady playing Chekhov? And he said, yes, except the person playing Chekhov also needs to play Sulu, so I don't think it would work for you. And I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm not that bassy. It was kind of sad.
But
Brental Floss noticed me, Senpai, for like 2 seconds.
But
I was
yes,
excited.
his will be a piss take of the whole concept, I think. Whereas,
Of musicals or of Wrath of Khan?
well, the idea of turning a film into a musical.
Okay, that's something I can get behind.
And yes, it'll also probably be a parody of Wrath of Khan to an extent, because, again, he's a comedy YouTuber, not a serious one. Which is funny, when I was looking up, I was trying to find interesting videos about Back to the Future, see if anyone done an interesting analysis or anything, and that's how I was reminded, like, oh yes, this musical exists for some reason. From, like, even earlier, though, someone had done a Back to the Future musical trailer as a joke. To be like, wouldn't this be stupid? It's like, oh, guess what, buddy? Someone decided it wouldn't be. And yeah, the guy has like a Doc Brown wig and it just looks terrible on him. So no, only Christopher Lloyd could pull off that hair.
Yeah, it's because they want the money, you see.
No, I know. And
Because
unfortunately...
if you have to put, like, you don't need any creativity, you just need to get the money.
And people keep going to them for some stupid reason.
Well, because people have this idea that, like,
Culture.
the
It's a
theater
culture.
is more cultured, but then you go and see some garbage, and the reason, like, it's not good.
I will say, though, I guess I'll take that over there doing like a legacy sequel or a reboot that causes terrible boys on the internet to be terrible and ruin my enjoyment.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience, Chris.
I mean, I honestly, like, now I find it hard to even watch the original Ghostbusters anymore because I know so many horrible people enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what you're referring to.
Here's the thing, though.
Uh-oh.
If they were to reboot it now, the car,
Oh, yeah, no.
what would it be? I feel like it would have
Oh,
to
that's
be
a good
like a
question.
PT Cruiser or something.
Hummer 2.
I want it to be...
It would be a Tesla.
Oh,
No, but
you're
see,
right.
it has to be a shitbox. It has to
That's
be...
true, they'd
One of
be
the exploding
consciously-
Teslas.
Mm.
What is the 2023 version of the DeLorean?
Any Dodge.
Like, that's the thing, is like,
Oh, wait, looks good, but is actually garbage?
I
How
mean-
about a 2000 Mitsubishi Eclipse? Not Eclipse, Galant.
Gallants, they're not very good looking.
Shut up, they
They
are!
look like a sedan.
They're cute sedans.
but yeah, it's that. But I think again, like, you're going back to older cars. The DeLorean was still new at the time,
Yeah, that's
so it needs
true.
to be
Right.
something
It
from the
wouldn't be-
last
yeah.
couple of years.
Well, I have
2020
no
is an
idea.
older car.
No, 2000 I
Oh, you said 2000?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
heard
yeah.
2020.
They haven't made
my
PT Cruisers
wild
in
brain.
years.
ages. Yeah, no.
Maybe, maybe it'd be a Yaris.
The other thing too
What are
is
the
like,
cube-shaped ones? Oh, the cube.
The cube.
but that's the thing though, is like, you don't really have the equivalent in the sense of like, part of the reason it was this weird, unique car was because some guy who'd worked in the industry made his own company and made this car. Like, I don't think there's really an equivalent in that sense, and your average car company now isn't taking risks design-wise.
That's true. I mean, there's a few cars out there that are more creative, I guess, but they look like shit, like that, like the Cube.
Oh, it looks awful. It looks like a computer case.
But even that's pretty old at this point.
Yeah.
I
Write in
don't
with
keep up.
your thoughts of what the 2023 DeLorean equivalent is on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I don't follow cars. My brother follows cars, and every conversation with my family, they're just talking about new cars. I'm like, I got nothing. I got nothing for you. So.
Almost all they sell in this country anymore are SUVs. They're all ugly. They're all boring. I hate them.
Truth.
There you have it.
Again, there's no segue. Good luck editing any of this, Chris.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We keep bringing back to topics we covered a half an
Look,
hour ago.
if there were
We
any...
keep bringing those topics back to the future.
Hey.
I say, if there were any awkward cuts where it seems like something's missing, like, how did they get from this to this? It's not because I cut out some completely unrelated nonsense. Time travel. It was time travel.
Yes. We went back in time, you see, and we fixed that time loop.
Yeah, there we go.
And now Reagan's president again.
No, God, what have we done?
Reagan's president now, isn't he? Wouldn't he be a zombie?
Zombie Reagan, 2024. Speaking of things in 2024, more of this podcast, but also this year. I got nothing. I got no segues.
2024
good segue.
will be on
We'll still be
Enterprise, I
going.
think.
Yes, we will. That's the plan.
We'll still be on Enterprise in 2024.
Well, we'll be finishing it up.
2024 is
probably.
next year.
I know, but there's not that much Enterprise.
There's
4
more
seasons.
Enterprise than there is
4
TOS.
seasons. I'm just saying that's not that much Enterprise.
That's over a year for us. So
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross.
It's a long road.
No!
we don't need no roads.
Ah!
Speaking of not needing any roads,
There we go.
Where we're going, we don't need no roads. We need more Voyager. And next week we're back doing the normal Voyager thing. So I hope you enjoyed this, but I also hope you enjoyed Voyager because we're going to cover next week episodes.
And we do it really well, damn it.
We
Yeah.
damn do. Episodes are going to be Lifeline and The Haunting of Deck 12. It's going to be a good time. Come back with us for that. You can listen to it, of course, and all of our other episodes on a podcast thing that you'd use. Any of them. We're on all... If we're not on all of them, something's gone wrong with the feed. And let us know. But you can find us on SoundCloud or wherever you go. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. We're also on a Tumblr, where we've been covering lots and lots of great blogtivities. I think this week, if you go onto the Tumblr, you can see part 2 of the Doppelganger post, which I cut in half because it was a very long conversation. Holy goddamn shit, there are too many character doubles. I kept thinking of more, that's why, and I kept putting them on the list because I'm a fool. So check that out there, and just go back in time. This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
This will have been Chris.
Oh, I don't even bother with tenses anymore.
There's actually a film, a 1973 film called Orgy American Style.
Fair enough.
It was a real movie.
What? Give us a synopsis.
Plot summary. The voluptuous and sultry foxy owner of a pirate radio
a
station...
lot of adjectives.
It is. The voluptuous and sultry foxy owner of a pirate radio station manages to stay always one step ahead from the police, who constantly tries to put her hot show on wheels out of business for good. Taglines: Group swinging! Your doctor, school teacher, minister, and their wives.
Better than all the Back to the Future taglines.